morning. The most news in the morning, period. Weekdays 6 Eastern.
Where does this campaign go from here?
It goes to Wyoming and Mississippi, which we've got coming up this week, and then on to Pennsylvania and a series of other states, North Carolina, Kentucky, Indiana. And so we are confident that after last night, where Senator Clinton had a good night but said that she had to win Texas and Ohio decisively, we end up emerging with essentially the same delegate count that we had going in, and feel confident that we're going to be able to go on to the nomination.
So you're really keying in on this word decisively, saying that she didn't win it decisively, so what does that mean then?
Well, we went into Texas and Ohio down 20 points. We had won 11 straight. Senator Clinton decided that they could only contest in these two states where she had an advantage, and she did well. But as I said before, we emerged with the same delegate gap between her and me that we had essentially before we got in. And so we have constantly focused on the next states in front of us. We've got Wyoming and Mississippi this week. Right. We think we'll do well. And then we go on to Pennsylvania and the other states that follow.
It's a long time between now and Pennsylvania, 7 weeks in a state where you have been down. Right. Your numbers are coming up a little bit. What can you do to try to reclaim the momentum and then hang on to it for what in anybody's book is a lifetime in the world of politics?
Well, what we've got to do is keep on doing what we've been doing throughout this campaign, talking about the issues that matter to the American people, making sure that we're talking about my plan to provide health care to every single American, making sure that I am putting forward my plans for college affordability, talking about how we can end the war in Iraq in an honorable, responsible way so that we can refocus our attention on al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, which will keep America safer, and so we can start spending some of those billions of dollars that are going to Iraq to building infrastructure and putting people back to work here in the United States. If we talk about those issues, then I think we'll end up doing well.
Senator, there has certainly been a lot of talk in recent days about this so-called 3 a.m., the red phone, even though it's a white phone in the ad that Hillary Clinton had up, questioning your experience to be able to react to a crisis. She took a pretty obvious shot at you last night in her victory speech. Let's listen to it. I'll get you to respond.
When there's a crisis and that phone rings at 3 a.m. in the White House, there's no time for speeches or on-the-job training. You have to be ready to make a decision.
So she's saying she's got it, you don't. What's your response?
Well, she's yet to cite what experience, in fact, prepares her for that 3 a.m. phone call. When her advisors were asked about it, there was a deafening silence. So it was a clever ad, but the bottom line is that the most important foreign policy call that she's had to make since she's been in public office was whether or not to follow George Bush into Iraq. Right. Well, she made the wrong decision. So I'm looking forward to having that debate because, in fact, Senator Clinton hasn't cited any particular experience that makes her prepared to make that call.
Well, let me ask you, what specific experience do you have in handling a crisis that would make you the better person to field that 3 a.m. phone call?
Well, and that's the point. Nobody does, because nobody's been in that situation unless you've been president. The question then becomes who's got the kind of judgment on these critical issues that is shows some evidence that you can, in fact, understand how the world is operating and when we have to deal with issues in a military way. And on questions like Iraq, on questions like Pakistan and Iran, I think that the judgment I've shown over the last several years has been superior both to Senator Clinton's and to Senator McCain's. And if longevity is the measure by which we determine who's got the best experience to answer that phone call, then John McCain wins because he's been there the longest. But that's not the criteria. The question is who's got the best judgment, and I think that my record looks pretty good compared to theirs.
She really went for the jugular over the last few days. Did she knock you off your game?
No, I don't think so. I mean, keep in mind, it was just Tuesday where we had a debate, and she said, come meet me in Ohio, and I think the general consensus was that we did very well in that debate. There's no doubt that she went very negative over the last week, but ultimately, we started 20 points behind in Ohio and Texas. We closed that gap. We weren't able to close it as much as we'd like, but you can't discount the fact that we had won 11 previous contests by enormous margins, and that's why we're in a very strong position going forward.